We are continuing with the last lecture. We have seen what are the different object-oriented concepts. That is, we have seen class, we have seen object, we have seen inheritance, abstraction, and we have seen also types of abstraction. Now we are going to continue with the polymorphism. So what is polymorphism is? Poly means many and morph means forms. That is, polymorphism means many forms. When one task is performed by different ways, that is known as polymorphism. For example, to convince the customer differently, we have different approaches to convince the customer. That different approaches is nothing but the polymorphism. To draw something, okay, we can draw a particular thing in different ways. That is called as polymorphism. For example, rectangle in different form, different sizes. So in C++, we use function overloading and function overriding to achieve polymorphism. So how to achieve polymorphism in C++ is with the help of function overloading and function overriding. These are the two ways to achieve the polymorphism. Polymorphism means many forms, and it occurs when we have many classes that are related to each other by inheritance. So we have seen inheritance lets us inherit attributes and method from another, whereas polymorphism uses these methods to perform different tasks. This allows us to perform a single action in different ways. Polymorphism is a feature using which an object behaves differently in different situations. So basically, polymorphism means you will have different ways to carry out a particular task. Again, I am repeating, poly means many, whereas morph means forms, that is multiple forms. So actually there are two types of polymorphism. One is called as compile time polymorphism, whereas second is called as runtime polymorphism. So what is happened in the compile time polymorphism? In compile time polymorphism, the polymorphism is done at compilation time, whereas runtime polymorphism, the polymorphism is done at the runtime. So one example of compile time polymorphism is function overloading, whereas we can achieve runtime polymorphism using function overriding. We will see how to implement this once we come across this function overloading and function overriding. So next is overloading. What is meant by overloading? The concept of overloading is also a branch of polymorphism. When the existing operator or function is made to operate on new data type, it is said to be overloaded. In simple words, what is overloading is a particular thing is used for particular task to be carried out. Same thing is used for performing or carry out a different task. It is called as overloading. So existing operator or function is made to operate a new data type. It is said to be overloaded. We are going to see this when we implement the code. At that time, you will get the clear idea what is exactly overloading. Next is dynamic binding. So what is dynamic binding? In dynamic binding, the code to be executed in response to function call is decided at runtime. It is called as dynamic binding. So code to be executed in response to function call it is decided when your program is in execution, that is called as runtime. That phenomenon is called as dynamic binding. So how to achieve dynamic binding in C++? So to achieve dynamic binding in C++, we have virtual functions which help us to define which function to be called at runtime. Next is message passing. As the name suggests, objects communicate with one another by sending and receiving information to each other. This is called as message passing. So in this message passing, one object is going to communicate with another object by sending and receiving information to each other. It is called as message passing. A message for an object is a request for execution of a particular procedure, and therefore will invoke a function in the receiving object that generates the desired result. So this message passing involves specifying the name of the object and the name of the function and the information to be sent that is required to communicate between the two objects. First, it required the object, then it required name of the function and the information to be sent. These three things are required to perform message passing between two objects. So what are the advantages of object-oriented programming over your procedural-oriented programming language? I will list here some of the important advantages. There are many more advantages. First is object-oriented programming makes development and maintenance easier, whereas in procedure-oriented programming language, it is not easy to manage if the code grows as project size grows. So in this, with the help of OOPS, the development and maintenance made easier, whereas in procedure-oriented languages, when your code grows, it is very difficult to maintain the code. So this is the one advantage of object-oriented programming approach. Next advantage is it provides data hiding. Object-oriented programming provides data hiding. You can hide the data by using private keyword, as well as you can hide the data by using abstraction, encapsulation, etc. Whereas in procedure-oriented programming, a global data can be accessed from anywhere. So this is the one of the limitation with respect to security. In procedure-oriented programming, your data is accessed from anywhere by anyone. So with respect to security, this is not a standard scenario to keep your data available for all the users. So advantages of object-oriented programming is to hide the data. Next is object-oriented programming provide ability to simulate real-world event much more effectively. Whereas, we can provide the solution for real-world problems if we are using the object-oriented programming language. Whereas it is determined, there are some limitations to simulate real-world event in procedure-oriented programming language. So whatever we see in object-oriented programming, it is in the form of object and classes. And real-world entities, we are embedded into class and object, and we are playing with that in our programming. So it helps us to simulate real-world events more effectively in our programming language. So this is the one of the advantage of object-oriented programming. Now I'm going to demonstrate simple hello world program how to write the hello world program and how to execute it, how to compile it. So I'm going to use the code block as an editor. Is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are using the code block as an editor. I will show you. Just type in Google code block. You will come to this website. So just open this website. You will find this page. So this code block is open source, cross-platform, free C++, C, C++, and Fortran IDE. What is this IDE means? It is an integrated development environment. It is one of the platform wherein you can write the C program, C++ program, and Fortran programs. You can compile it and you can execute the code. So you can get this. For this, you have to go to the downloads, and here it is. The binary releases are available. Just click on it, and there is this links. This is for Windows XP, Vista 7, 8.x, 10, and these are for the Linux operating system. You have to download this file. This code block version is 20.03 setup file from these sites, and you have to execute that. You have to complete that installation process. So I have already completed this. It's little bit, now you are familiar with how to install a particular software. If you feel any difficulty to install the code block on your system, you can just Google, you can go to the YouTube and search how to install code block. You will get useful videos. There are different steps. Only thing is that you have to say next, next, next as we are installing any software, and that's it. The code blocks will get installed. So this is about installation of the code blocks. Once it is installed, it will look like this. So I will explain this from basic. So first of all, you have to open this code block. This is the editor. You have to go to the file and you have to say new, and then you have to say project. Once you say project, there are various list of the project is available in this IDE. You can do many projects in this IDE. So for our subject, we are going to use console application. So choose this console application and you have to say go. Once you say go, just click on next. Choose the language. Now we are using C++ language, and you have to say next. You have to give the title for the project. I am going to give the title for the project is Hello World Demo. Once you give the title for the project here, you have to decide where to keep this project. Initially, this will be blank. When you first install the code block, you have to choose the directory wherein this project will get stored. So I will choose this folder 123, which is present on the D drive, and then I will say next. So it will ask for the compiler. So this is the by default compiler, GNU GCC compiler, and there are various compilers for various purposes. We are going to use this compiler for your information, I will just pop up it. So these are the different compilers for different platforms and different purposes. So for our understanding, for our course, we are going to use this compiler, GCC compiler, and just say finish. Once you say finish, your project will be visible here. So hello world demo. Inside there is folder. Name of the folder is sources. Once you click on this plus button, it will get explored. You will find this main.cpp. So just double click on this main.cpp. You will find this code. This code visible properly? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once you open this CPP file, this code is by default provided by this IDE. So it will include first its iostream file. Next, they are using the namespace. I will explain this what is namespace later on, but for time being, keep it as it is. And this is our main function, wherein you will have this by default code. This is the opening curly bracket, and this is the closing curly bracket, wherein you have to write the your main body. So here it is by default statement is cout hello world, and this endl. So what is this endl? It is similar to your /n, that is new line. Cursor will go to the new line. What is this cout? As I said in the previous lecture, cout is nothing but the similar to printf statement in C programming language. So whatever you have printed on the terminal, you have to say cout hello world. You have to put that into double quotation, and then you have to go to give the semicolon. I want to I have written here endl to move the cursor to the new line, and at the end it will return 0. Why I have written 0 here? Because this integer is present before the main. Integer nothing but this main method function is returning something. That's why I have written here return 0. So this is our simple program, which is already by default given by this ID. So how to compile this program? So to compile this program, you have to use this build option here, and you have to say build. You can do from build operation here itself, or you can use this symbol. So once you click on this, your program is compiled, and it will show here. Here it is. I have just maximized it. There are 0 errors, 0 warnings, and how much time it requires to compile the code. Actually, it is compiled in the milliseconds. That's why there are 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Suppose I made a mistake in my program. Suppose I have forgotten to give this semicolon over here. I will save this program, and again I am going to compile it. That is build option. Once I compile, there is red mark here and there is message over here. And I am unable to maximize it, but the message is error expected semicolon before return. So it will show you the error message in nearby the error occurred. So here it is. The error is here. You can give the semicolon. You can save it, and you can again build it. Once you build it, you will get again 0 errors and 0 warnings. So you have successfully compiled this program. Once you compile this program, now it's time to run your program. So to run the program, you have to go to build and there is run option. You can run the program from here also, as well as there is one button, this button, okay, run button. From here also you can run the program. I'm going to click on this button. So this is the output of the program. It simply says hello world. Okay, and it will ask for press any key to continue. So once you press any key, this window will disappear. So again I'm going to write one statement here. Welcome to C++ programming. And L nothing but the new line. Cursor will go to the new line. Again I'm going to save it. Just compile it. You will get here 0 errors. And I'm going to execute it. So here it is, the output is, just see, hello world, welcome to C++ program. Okay, these are the two statements we have written in our program, which will be displayed on this console. Once I click on or press any key, this window will disappear. So this is how you have to compile the program and you have to execute the program. Now I am going to explain another program, that is simple addition of two integer numbers. Before that, I am going to explain how to take the input from the keyboard. So to take the input, I am going to declare here one integer variable, integer a. I will keep this statement as it is, and I am going to say cout enter integer number. Enter. And after giving this message to the user, enter integer number, I am going to take it from the user. For that purpose, I am going to use this C, that is input stream, and you have to use this greater than symbol, and you have to use this variable a, wherein in this variable a you are going to store the values entered by the user. And once it is stored in the variable a, I am going to display it on the terminal by using the cout statement. So I will say here enter number is equal to, and then I am going to say variable name a, and at the end and L. It's a standard notation to mention end L at the end, but it is not compulsorily you have to read. So this is a simple program which will take input from the user. I will just compile it. I will see whether there is any error present in my code or not. So just give me a few minutes. I will complete this program and then we will stop. So there are 0 errors in my program. So I'm going to execute it. So this is my output. It will display 2 statements that were already present in my code. Hello world, welcome to C++ programming, and enter integer number. So the system will wait till you enter an integer number. So I will enter 12 and I will press enter. Once you press 12 and once you press enter button, this 12 will be stored in the variable a, which is we have declared over here a. And then the statement we have written over here is cout enter number is, and this is the way to display the value of variable a, that is enter number is 12. So this is the output we get from this statement. So I'm going to press any key, so this will be disappeared. So next is addition of 2 numbers. So integer a, b, I require another variable c to store the addition of 2 numbers. So again I am repeating over here, enter integer number c in a. So again I am going to mention over here is enter another integer number. And that integer number I am going to store in variable b, c in. To take the input, again I am repeating, you have to make use of c in, and you are going to store it in a b variable. And I'm going to do the addition. C is equal to a plus b. And now I want to display the addition of 2 numbers. Cout addition of these numbers is equal to, I'm going to say C. Enter. So this is my simple addition program. Addition of 2 integer numbers. So I will check whether is there any error present in my code. I am going to click on this build button. So there is no error message. There are 0 errors and 0 ones. So I am going to execute it. So 2 statements already present in my code, and here it is, integer, enter integer number. So I will enter 12, enter another integer number, and I am going to enter again 12. Once you press, the addition of these numbers is 24, which will be displayed on your console. So this is the way to take the input from the user in your C++ program.